In today's gaming news, the Xbox One was revealed yesterday, so we'll be covering everything you need to know about the system. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. It is Wednesday, May the 22nd, and my name is Force, here with your day's gaming news. Now typically I don't do this, but this video is going to focus on one subject, and that is the Xbox One. Microsoft held their reveal presentation yesterday. There's a lot of stuff out there, tons of information, and I wanted to consolidate all of that into one video to give you a clear idea of what you need to know about the system. So let's just jump right in with the basic info on the Xbox One. Based on yesterday's presentation, the Xbox One is clearly being positioned as a multimedia device rather than a system built solely to play video games. Microsoft's goal is to have the next Xbox be a one-stop shop for all your living room entertainment, which includes partnerships with cable companies, Netflix, and the NFL, to name a few. Multiple operating systems will make for easier multitasking, essentially a console version of alt-tabbing. The Kinect 2.0 will come packaged with the Xbox One and appears to be required for the system to work. When it comes to the two hot button topics, online connectivity and used games, things are still a little unclear. Conflicting reports have been popping up, but it appears that the Xbox will require a regular checkup with the internet, possibly once every 24 hours, but will not require a consistent internet connection. In terms of used games, it appears that if you try to play a used game, there will be a fee through the Xbox, potentially as much as the full cost of the game. There's two other key points that I want to bring up before we go into the discussion portion of this video. The first one is that the Xbox One will not play Xbox 360 games. Now, some people are understandably upset about this, but it's important to realize the reasoning behind it. These two consoles run on an entirely different architecture, and in order to be able to play Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One, it would require total game emulation, which would basically mean they would have to put a small version of the Xbox 360 inside of the Xbox One, which would cost them a lot of extra money, which would mean in turn that the console would cost more money as well. So apparently Microsoft has decided this isn't as necessary of a feature. They're removing it to drive down the cost of the Xbox One so that more people go in turn purchase it. Now what that means to you guys is if you want to play your Xbox 360 games, or unfortunately your games purchased through Xbox Live on the 360, you're still going to have to hold on to that console and just hope it survives the next 10, 20, 30 years, which seems like probably isn't all that likely, unfortunately enough. The other major thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that independent developers can't self-publish on the Xbox One, and they can on the PlayStation 4. So what does that mean to you as a gamer? Well, it means that indie games are going to be a lot more prevalent on the PS4 than they will be on the Xbox One, because Microsoft is sticking with a closed system where they closely monitor the games that get released on that console. So a lot less indie games for fans of the Xbox. Now let's go ahead and move on to the discussion portion where I want to talk about some of the hot topic issues when it comes to the Xbox One. The first of which is the Kinect. You will need one, and it will always need to be connected and on in order for you to use the next Xbox console. Why is this a problem? Well, some people are concerned that Microsoft and the CIA are going to spy on them in their living room. That's just ridiculous. That shouldn't be your concern when it comes to the requirement of the Kinect. What your concern should be is how crappy the Kinect is. Now, in concept, it's a fantastic idea. Unfortunately, in practice, it proved with the original version of that device to not be all that reliable. In fact, it proved to be totally unreliable. You needed certain lighting. You needed to be positioned in a certain part of the room. You needed to make sure there weren't any obstructions between you and the Kinect. There's a lot of necessary requirements in order for the Kinect to work. Now this is the Kinect 2.0, which understandably we would assume that means it's a better device, but how much better have they made the necessary improvements to make this reliable? My guess is probably not. It's still probably going to be more or less a crapshoot half of the time, and that is my concern with the requirement of the Kinect 2.0 on the Xbox One. Now on to internet connectivity. This was a major concern prior to this announcement, people thinking that you would need to always be connected to the internet to play on the next Xbox. Well, it appears that is not the case, but it does look like you're going to need some sort of a checkup on a regular basis, be that once every 24 hours, 48 hours, or once a week, and maybe for 10, 15 minutes or an hour at a time. Now, the good news, again, is that you don't need that consistent internet connection, but even that constant checkup is going to be a problem for some people. Now, myself, where I live in the world and my lifestyle, I've always got internet. Pretty much, unless there's a major storm, there isn't a time throughout the course of the day, week, or year that I don't have an internet connection. But when it does go out, that of course sucks, and if that means that in the 24-hour checkup, when my internet goes out, I won't be able to play any more games on the Xbox One, that'll be frustrating. And this is going to be especially frustrating for people who live in other parts of the world where internet connectivity isn't as regular and they've got issues or bandwidth limitations. I know that some people in some places of the world have only so much bandwidth they can use throughout the course of a month, and having to have this constant checkup means they're going to have to make sure their internet's always connected at that certain time, and that could of course be a problem for those people. But again, I suppose it is a sigh of relief that you're not going to require a constant internet connection for the next Xbox system. And then finally, we've got the used games. Lots of people wondering, what does this mean for retail outlets and how is this exactly going to work? Well, lots of conflicting reports on this one, even more so than the one concerning internet connectivity. It looks like it's going to work like this. You'll purchase a game, you'll put it in your Xbox One, it's going to install on your hard drive, run a check, and then tie that basically to your account. Now, if you were to give that game to someone else and they would attempt to put it on their account, on their system, they're going to have to pay a fee that could be as much as the full retail price of the game. I'm assuming it won't be that much, because then where's the room for resale and how is the person selling it going to make any money? And also, when this fee comes in place on the Xbox One, where does that fee go? Does some go to the developer and publisher of the game, or does it all go to Microsoft? These are all questions that are still unanswered, and it's really depending on where they come across on this and what their final decision is and what they eventually let everyone know. That's really going to change people's opinions on this matter. Now, myself in particular, I'm not really too bothered by this because I am primarily a PC gamer. I have got hundreds and hundreds of games on Steam, all of which I can't resell. Now, would I eventually like this potential? Yeah, sure. I'd like the idea of being able to take a Steam key that I've got applied and attached to a game on my Steam account and then sell that to someone else on Steam for a certain amount of money, but that right now isn't an option, so it's something that I've kind of grown accustomed to. And the fact that I can get games on so much of a discount through Steam, and the fact that it's so convenient, I can just download these games in the comfort of my own home, for me it makes up for that lack of resaleability. But console gamers aren't used to this, and how this is all going to come into play once they finally give a final word on the ability to resell games through the Xbox One, again, it's really gonna change people's opinion of the console, and I think some people may opt for PS4 over an Xbox One, depending on where Microsoft stands on this issue. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the show. Please let me know what you guys think. There's a lot to talk about here with the Xbox One. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. But once again, this has been Force, and you have just been force-fed. I've seen a lot of people concerned about the Kinect requirement because they're worried that the thing's going to watch them having sex on their couch in the living room. Come on, you're not kidding anyone. What you mean is you're worried they're gonna watch you touching yourself in the living room. Here's a pro tip. If you're actually having sex on your couch in the living room, you're not on the internet talking about having sex on your couch in the living room. That's why I don't talk about it.